What is up, everybody? I'm George Mossey. This is the George Mossey Show. So we're gonna do a weekly TLC kind of roundup on things going on TLC. This is my co-host Cherona. Make sure you guys are following her because if you're not, you're missing out. She's an amazing tattoo artist. She's really funny too. So guys, this week I want to talk about what is happening on January 29th at 8 p.m. It is a spinoff of 90 Day Fiance. This one is The Other Way, which is actually one of my favorite spinoffs because I love to watch Americans think that they can go into other countries and adapt to their lifestyle and adapt to how different it is. Because I know as an American, I'm super spoiled and I expect things to be done for me and I expect there to be running water, hot water at that. So we're watching some people leave everything behind, family, houses, cars, and we've been doing this for years, and we're going to watch and see if they crumble under the pressure. So I want to do some reactions to some of the new couples. So I want to talk about Chris and Jimmy. So Chris is leaving Alabama to move to Columbia, and she's moving and leaving everything behind, and she hasn't actually met in person. So what do you think about these two ladies? They say they're in love, they have a wedding date set, but they haven't actually met in person. So I get being in love and haven't met before because the internet is an interesting thing. You can be in love with someone through video chat. But what do you think about Chris leaving Alabama to go and move and live with Jimmy in Columbia, sight unseen? So, oh, and they're going to get married within a couple of days when Chris arrives.
Um, First of all, let's just say I would never do that personally because I think that's a little crazy. I feel like maybe I'm old school, whatever, but like I like to know a person and like I feel like you can't even be in a full-blown relationship with someone until you've like even taken a vacation. Like if you know how you work together, like in a living situation. But I mean to just know each other on the internet, like, oh girl, what is you
And
doing?
to
Like
get married, right? Not just get married, but like move to another country for that person. Because what if it doesn't work out? Like, what if she gets there and Jimmy's like, you know what? Nah, like, what are you gonna do? You're in another country. You sold all your stuff. Like, where do you? I don't even know how to start. This is crazy. I'm so excited to see how this goes. I want them to work out. I don't want anyone to think I don't want anyone to work out, but I really like to see when it crumbles too.
Same, I love that. It's kind of like the build up until like the volcano explodes and then you get to like watch everything happen after that, like the
Yeah.
aftermath. And I mean, in the clip that we did see on the trailer, you see them get in a fight where she's like, "I want you to leave now."
Right.
So,
And where do you go? Where do you go? This isn't even your country. Like, where do you go?
exactly. Like where does she expect her to go? Like a hotel? Like how's she going to find the hotel? Like has she even been to Colombia? Like does she know what she's walking into?
Well, they haven't met. So I was gonna say maybe she's never even taken a vacation there, which I think is crazy because you can't live anywhere that you've never even been. That's just me. So another couple that caught my attention in this trailer is Debbie and Osama. And Osama's from Morocco. Debbie's from Georgia. And the one crazy thing about this relationship is a 43-year age difference. That is just it. And I was like, when they were talking about the relationship, the only thing that I could see and hear was 43-year age difference. That's like humongous. I've heard of 10-year age gaps, 15, 20, and Ginny and Submit have a pretty big one too. But it's
Yeah.
like, whoa, 43-year age difference. And naturally, both families have reservations, right? Because
Oh,
say
of
this
course.
person is related to you and they're like, oh, I'm gonna marry this person, they're 43 years older than me. Or this person's like, I'm gonna marry this guy 43 years younger than me. I can only imagine what their families are saying.
Oh, yeah, I cannot imagine. I mean, I get it, like, when you're in love with someone, like, love and age don't mean anything,
Mhm.
but, like, sometimes I'm kinda like, that much? I
Well,
mean,
what
get it, you're a cougar, get it, girl, like,
but what
but,
would they
like,
have in common? Like, what do you have
that's
in
the
common with someone
thing.
43 years older than you?
I don't know. Like, I feel like there's such a crazy generational gap. Like, they probably, I mean, they probably watch 90 Day Fiance. Is that the only thing they have in common? Like, what do they actually have in common? It's not like they live in the same like country.
Yeah.
So I can see like sometimes people like, especially in LA, like there's a lot of cougars that go for the younger guys, but they have common interests. There's like cars, money, parties, these types of things. But like when you're coming to a different country for someone that's 43 years younger than you, and you don't even have they met? They haven't met either, right?
No, I don't think they've met in person yet. So I'm very, very interested in just, well, when we saw in the trailer, there was a lot of fights. She
Oh
called them
yeah.
all types of names. He called himself all types of names. And it was just insanity. But that was what I was thinking. I was like, when you get together, other than being attracted to him or being
Mhm.
attracted to her, there's like nothing else there. Because it's like, basically, that would be a grandparent. I don't want to be mean. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Debbie. But it's like, he's going to be hanging out with like someone that could be a grandparent age. And it's like, what would you do together for fun in a relationship? And I'm not even trying to be mean, but it's just like, what would you do? Where would you take her? Because I like to go to theme parks, ride roller coasters. I like to bungee jump, weird, crazy shit. I could
Mhm.
never take her to do any of that. She'd be like, are you trying to kill me? What is wrong with you?
Well, yeah, we kind of saw it with Jenny and Submit when Submit wanted to go zip lining. And Jenny is like, do you want me to die? Like, I'm so much older than you. What are we doing? So I kind of feel the same way. I mean, and we did see in the clip of her riding that, was it a horse? Where she's just
Yeah,
like, boom, like she just falls over. Like, I mean, she's a little bit older. You don't want her to like hurt herself. I mean, I feel like you have to like proceed with caution with what you're gonna do. Like, obviously, maybe she's trying, she's probably still very young hearted, which is probably why she went for someone so young, which I can understand. But girl, like, you fell off a horse. Like, don't hurt
that
yourself
could,
for this man.
yeah, that could break bones. That could break anything. Like, horses are very dangerous. Like, what?
I would never even ride a horse. Like, what? I don't
Yeah,
know.
you
See,
got to get me drunk to get me on a horse. I got to be very, very drunk. Like, there's no way.
I would never. I rode a horse once and it was literally the scariest thing in my life. I would never. Farm animals scare me a lot, like, fun fact. So I couldn't do it. Good job, girl.
Really?
I couldn't do that.
All right, so I want to talk about Nicole, who's from California, and Mahamd. I'm not saying that right. If you're following me, or if anyone knows him, please ask him to tell me his correct pronunciation because I feel horrible. He is from Egypt, the beautiful place of Egypt, and they met on her last day of a spiritual tour in Egypt, and they got engaged the exact same day that they met. So this story is pretty crazy. So Nicole secretly went back to Egypt and she married him, and her family does not know. And now she is actually trying to move there to be with him, and she has to tell her family that they got married. And this one is going to be very hard because there's not like a huge issue between the two of them. It's going to be the family and the cultural issues because we watch relationships between people, especially in Egypt and their cultures and their religion. And it's like, is she going to be able to adapt to living as a woman in that country? Because, over here, women make their own decisions. They can go out and do things on their own. They decide who they want to marry. And then in that culture and religion, sometimes there's arranged marriages. Sometimes
Mhm.
there's issues with your husband being able to tell you what to do, when to do it, how to do it. So I'm really worried about Nicole because she's a California girl, right? So is she going to be able
Yes.
to deal with this?
Honestly, being a California girl, when I saw her, I was like, oh. I mean, when he's talking like, oh well, you can do more than like most wives, and she's like, was that what he said?
Yeah, he was basically saying that
It was
she had
like,
more freedoms than she
yeah,
should in his culture. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So when he's like, you can do more than most wives, and I'm like thinking like, so what are you supposed to? What is? I mean, I get it. The culture is so different, but like being from California, especially being from California, I feel like we're completely different than any other women anywhere
Yeah.
else. We're very, very. I feel like a lot of us are very independent. We're very
Strong-willed,
dominant. Yes.
strong-willed. Yeah.
Mhm. So I just kind of like thought of myself in that situation. And if someone told me like what I can and can't do, and then it's the same thing. Like, I get that there's cultural differences, and I get when you
Mhm.
go to another country, you have to be respectful. But if you're gonna go live there and be married there and you can't even be yourself, and that's when she's just like, well, then I don't want to do that. Like, I would probably go crazy. I don't know how she's gonna to survive that. But they seem, I mean, their age is so similar, it seems. So I feel like they've
Mhm.
got that going for them. They probably have a lot of stuff in common with that. But
I
hopefully
hope so. Yeah.
we can pray. But it does seem in the clip that there's already some issues.
Oh yeah, there's gonna be lots of issues, and I think
California girls
family.
don't play.
Yeah,
That's
and
what's up.
family is always known for getting in the way of
Yes.
relationships. So it's not only that, and her family's also California
Yep.
family. So they're gonna be like, no, you're not doing that. We're not having it. So let's head over to Oklahoma, right? So there's Jen from Oklahoma and Rish, who is from India, and they met in a hotel lobby, right? And Jen saw Rish, and it was not love at first sight. She decided that she was like, yeah, no, it's cool. But a month later, they ended up engaged. Now, there's a huge gap in the story. We don't know exactly what happened in that
Yeah.
month because we just know that they met. It wasn't serious for either of them. And then a month later, they're engaged. And Rish's family doesn't approve because they are hoping to arrange a marriage for him per their culture. So his parents
Mhm.
want to pick a wife for him. And he wants to actually decide who to marry. This is actually sounding familiar, right? This is a familiar story. It's
Very
reminding me
familiar.
of Ginny and Submit a little bit, right?
A
But I'm
lot.
just, yeah, a lot,
A
right?
lot.
And I'm just wondering, and we know that it can be done. You can move to India and live. Ginny has proven that to us
Mhm.
that this is something that you can do. It's very possible, but she will never be accepted by Risha's family. Jen is always going to be this person who came over and took their son away against their culture, against their religion. And, you know, over there, when your mom and your dad don't approve of what you're doing, it causes your family to disown you. And it actually causes great shame on your family. People speak on your family in a very negative way. So is
Mhm.
Jen strong enough as an Oklahoma girl to deal with that type of scrutiny? That's going to be the question.
Yeah, it is. And is he going to be good enough for her? Because as we saw in the clip, her friend was like, he sent me this picture. Like, why
Mm-hmm.
are you sending her friends pictures if she's going across the entire world to come be with you? Like, that is giving me some like vibes from like Muhammad and Eve, you know?
Yeah.
These guys like flirting with other women while they have this woman doing everything for them. It's just kind of giving me flashbacks, like red flags already. And I'm like, girl, no, please, come on. No. I mean,
I'm
and the
worried.
fact that it wasn't love at first sight is also like
That
a very
reminded me
unsettling.
That reminded me when Tania said that Sinjin wasn't her soulmate, but they were like
Oh,
married, and I was like, whoa. But like
yeah.
sending these pictures and then saying it wasn't love at first sight. I'm like, this is giving me red flags. Like if I had a little
Hmm.
red flag, I want to hold it up. This is not good, you know, because you didn't love him when you first saw him, and then now he's sending your friend. And that's like 101 for a woman. You get your friend to see if he will reciprocate and talk back. That's like number one. So guys, stop falling for this. If you're in a relationship and all of a sudden some beautiful woman pops up in your messages, she's trying to set you up. Be a good guy. Stop being a scumbag and sending pictures. And it's probably a shirtless picture or something. You
Ugh,
can't explain why you would send that to someone when you're in a relationship. So just don't do it.
exactly. Amen to that.
Right, so I want to talk about Gabe and Isabel, right? So Gabe is from
Hmm.
Florida, Isabel is from Colombia. We're seeing a lot of Colombian women on the show, which I love. Colombia is a very beautiful place. So Gabe works and travels in Colombia. He met Isabel and he's ready to start a life with her. And Isabel fully accepts Gabe for who he is, which I think is very important in a relationship. Gabe is a trans man and she
Hmm.
fully supports that. And I think that that's beautiful and amazing, and love is love. And I am so happy to see this representation on the show. This is what we need, TLC. Thank you for this representation. Love comes in many shapes and forms and genders, and even non-binary genders as well. So we need to make sure we're representing that. So I want to break down this relationship and this couple, but we're running out of time, unfortunately. So I'm going to end this and we're going to pop up in video number 2 and we're going to talk about this relationship and why it's so important that this relationship is being featured on this show. All right, guys, I'm George Mossey. This is my co-host, Cherona. This is a George Mossey Show, TLC Weekly Roundup podcast. Don't forget to follow me on all social media at George Mossey and at georgemossey.com and anywhere you get your podcast. And you need to follow Cherona too at her links right here at the bottom. We will talk to all of you really soon.